but it's time that I record this video. I put something on Facebook that I want to read. I go live on social media and on Facebook, so I want to read this because it's kind of what shaped my my thinking process for this video, the part 5 of this series. So so I'm just gonna read this woman's post, and this is the post. It's on Facebook, and I just want to read it. It says, "My son came to me today distraught, talking about he's not dating within his race anymore because our women are full of drama. He's tired. He's talking about he would date any other race but ours because our women don't listen and they act like they are more than men than the man. I straight up told him, son, race doesn't have anything to do with it. With toxic, being messy, toxic, or filled with drama is a personality trait, not a race thing. I also told him, even if every woman you date, if every woman you date has issues, and this is what's important, if every woman you date has issues, you might want to look in the mirror because I'm positive that you might be the common denominator in your relationship. You might want to step back from dating anyone and fix yourself first because something ain't right with this picture. I refuse to have him going around speaking to ignorance and blaming one race for his actions or choosing in women. This ain't a black thing. It's a him thing, and he better get it together, right? So now I'm going to go live on Facebook, even though they don't have the same information. So now I'm going to go live on Facebook. They're not going to have that part of the conversation, but they can find out about it by just going to YouTube. Hey, I'm live streaming on YouTube. I just read a post from Facebook that leads into this discussion. If you want to see that post, you'll have to go to my YouTube channel to see that post. So the first thing I think I want to say is this: my 2 cents is about science. It's about self-improvement through self-education. And this is actually one of the biggest issues that I have when it comes to what I've been trying to put into context over the last couple of years. I've been ranting and raving a lot about the state and quality of trying to maintain social interactions with people, trying to make friends, trying to have a girlfriend, trying to be a husband, just in general being a functional adult, and how difficult it is to interact on any type of personal level. And my biggest grievance when it comes to why I make these videos is that the next generation, people that were born in like 2015 and up, are being thrown into this chaos, this world that has been designed by people that wanted to cause division and create chaos for no reason other than so that they can look at the people outside of themselves and say, I'm better than you. It's not a good justification for it. There's no reason for the inequality in the world, right? Like there was another post, and I'll say this to lean into and try to double back down. There's another post where someone was like, just because a guy takes a girl on a date doesn't mean that he should be trying to have sex with her. Or I think it was like, imagine being upset that you took somebody out on a date and now you're mad because they don't want to have sex with you. And I'm gonna make it plain that just because you buy a girl a dinner, it doesn't mean that you're gonna have the right to have sex with her. I'm gonna make it real plain and simple. Buying females dinners, taking them out to the skating park, having any kind of social interaction with the opposite gender is not grounds for you to automatically have sex with them. That's not how life works. But here's the problem with the way it's framed in society. If I like a female that is over the age 18 and I walk up to her and I say, would you like to go on a date with me and let me take you to Starbucks? I should be able to imply through that exchange with her that I'm trying to have sex with her. So that way she could say no thank you. Not sure, I'll go to Starbucks with you and get coffee. Cause I really wanted coffee and I didn't want to pay for it myself. I don't like you as a person and I don't see myself being in any kind of long-term relationship with you. But I want coffee and you're willing to buy me coffee, so sure, right? That's not the way life's supposed to work. That is a dysfunctional environment. There should be some fundamental understanding that men and women are supposed to be trying to have consensual sex with each other, and there should be a mechanism by which that can occur, right? And if we're not going to allow that to be a normal thing, then what's going to happen? How are young men and women supposed to actually have relationships with each other if I can't assume that if I ask this individual if she wants to go out for a cup of coffee with me and she doesn't reply, are you like talking about us going on a date? Like, how are we supposed to, like, how is life supposed to work? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I have to unfortunately get gas, so y'all have to sit in the car and wait for me to come back. Life be lifing. All right, I'm back. So 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 just to go back to where I left off, if you are asking a girl out on a date, you are implying that you are making an effort to get to know her, to potentially have sex with her. It doesn't mean that you're going to be allowed to have sex with her. It doesn't mean that that is going to happen because it's mandatory, but that is the natural exchange that implies. And to have people try to shame young men because they're taking girls out on dates to try to have sex with them, and the world wants to act like there's something weird about that energy, is weird. Because you could just hang out with your friend, or you can or you can get a clarification and be like, are you asking me out on a date? That's the same as saying, like, are you trying to have sex with me, right? And then in that response, she could say, no, thank you. I'm not interested in that type of arrangement or relationship with you. You're not my type. The problem is there are other ways that young men and young women can hang out and socialize without it having to imply sex. That's the reason why the date thing should exist. So that way you have that extra level of, I've been really having a lot of fun with this girl for months and months, or even for a female, I've been really enjoying the quality of relationship that I've been having with this guy, and I would like to transition from us just being mutual acquaintances or friends. That allows you to say, hey, you want to date? Do you want to become more intimate with each other without having to just flat out be direct, right? So no, it's not okay for males to assume that they're going to be able to have sex with females. That is weird. But on the flip side of that same coin, it's not okay for girls to accept invitations to dates and then take offense to that exchange mentioning intimacy, right? Like, it's not like it's mandatory, but there's gonna be a conversation had. Like, that's the whole reason why we're here. Like, that's the point. We're gonna do all the indirect stuff that leads to us having an actual relationship, right? So what I read at the beginning of the comment about, if everybody is telling you that, if all the people that you're having an interaction with is saying, if every woman that you're dating, you're saying that they're toxic and they're crazy and they're bad, and you're not going to date African American women anymore because you don't want the drama, you don't want the pettiness, maybe the problem is you. Now I want to address that component, because there has been this weird energy over the last couple of years where, see, what I'm realizing at the age of 82 is that our grandmothers said it. Our grandmothers and our great-grandmothers told females how they were supposed to behave, and everybody got mad at granny and everybody got mad at mama for telling them how they were supposed to conduct themselves and how they were supposed to move. Because the feminist movement came in and convinced women that they were men. And females are not emotionally capable of doing what men do. What men do, the thing that a masculine man does that women don't understand, is we can disassociate and compartmentalize the issues of our world. We can show up to work for people we don't like and show restraint and respect when they're telling us to do stuff when we don't like them and we don't respect them. Men are capable of showing respect to people we don't respect. Women are not. And that's the biggest conflict. The biggest conflict with this idea of these toxic women, these arrogant, egotistical, argumentative, disrespectful females, is that women don't know how to hide their disrespect. And they're not being rude, they're being mean. They're being mean, they're being argumentative, and they're being disrespectful. And a reason why is because there's no consequence anymore for being a bitch, right? Like, you used to be a fucking bitch and you would be single. You would have to humble yourself and change your personality so that people will recognize you as a woman and consider you of any kind of value. But nowadays, the world has allowed this idea that disrespect equals masculine respect, when it doesn't, because females don't like men that behave the way that they behave. So if it was actually attractive, you would see a bunch of argumentative, disrespectful bitches riding with argumentative, disrespectful men. But you don't see that. You don't see that because it takes a certain type of person that wants to, what's the word I'm looking for? It takes a certain type of person that wants to be in a dominant bullying role. Really, it just boils down to just being a fucking bully. It takes a certain kind of person that wants to be in that dominant role of oppression and subjugation and forcing you to do what I want you to fucking do, and you're gonna listen to me because I told you to listen. It takes a certain type of person to have that energy. And the reality is that in that energy, if a man moves that way, if the male behaves the same way the female behaves, we don't think that it's attractive. So if the energy that the man brings, if it emulates the woman as not attractive, when did society decide that that energy was attractive to women, for women to do? When did we decide that being argumentative, being disrespectful, being rude, being sarcastic, being deceitful and ornery and manipulative, when did we decide that those qualities are acceptable qualities in women? Because it's manipulation. When she said, I told my son that if he's having this problem with all of the women he's interacting with, maybe the problem is you. The reality is that we date our parents. So the people we tend to date tend to emulate our mothers and our fathers on some fundamental level. So if this boy is running around, if this young man is running around dating a certain type of female, he's probably dating women that act like you. And because you've convinced him that he's the problem, he's not in a headspace to realize that, oh, I'm being treated like shit. I'm being disrespected. These women don't actually respect me. They're just using me. They're just taking advantage of me. And what I need to do is I need to double down on my ability to suffer for not achieving anything in this relationship. My goal is to have sex with this girl, and she wants to disrespect me and treat me like shit, and then go have sex with other men that are disrespecting her and treating her like shit, while I don't receive anything in exchange except for a bunch of experiences that's going to make it harder for me to continue to have relationships in the future. Because we're constantly telling men, y'all are a problem. You want to know what the real issue is? If you're actually listening to what I'm saying, the real issue is that men have to have a standard. Men have to have a foundation. We have to draw lines in the sand about who we are, and we have to be able to stand on business. And when women disappear because we're standing on business, we have to live with that shit. But the problem is that if only men are doing it, there's never going to be a space for those men like myself to actually meet the kind of woman that we want to meet, because they're not learning any fucking thing. They're not learning any lessons that's going to allow them to evolve into the person they want to be. They're just not. Because they're not online saying, I did this to this guy and this guy left me. What do you guys think? Well, he's an asshole and you should keep being the person that you are. You're just all that in a bag of chips, and you're not the problem, he's the problem. Like, what do you think happens every time someone posts online? This guy asked me on a date, and I was shocked that he was trying to have sex with me, and nobody is saying, girl, dating is for trying to build an intimate romantic relationship that may or may not lead to sex. Instead, we're online like, yeah, guys shouldn't be trying to think that they're going to just have sex with you because they're taking you on a date. And then when females aren't getting asked out on dates anymore, and they're like, I'm confused because you broke the fucking rules. The way that this social dynamic is supposed to work, we're destroying it. For what? For what? What are we destroying it for? What is the game? What is the goal? Human connectivity has never been better than it has been ever in our lives, and our inability to communicate has gotten worse. Has significantly gotten worse. Like, it really is mind-boggling when you think about it. And this is just how it is. This is just the foundation. We're always the problem. Men are always a problem. Men are never gonna ever be good enough. We're supposed to always hold ourselves to a standard that has to change with every relationship dynamic that we're in, and we're supposed to constantly be able to adapt and adjust to females that constantly change who they are every fucking day. Every goddamn day you wake up to a new person, and you're supposed to be able to adapt and adjust to this new person and understand all of their lying and scheming and manipulative ass bullshit, just so that they can justify ending your relationship in a negative way that keeps them in a positive light and you in a negative light. For fucking what? For what? What is the end game goal? What are you trying to achieve? Why is it necessary for people to come together on mutual respect and always 100% of relationships have to end and unnecessary chaos and destruction? Why? Why is that necessary? What is wrong with our ability to be functional adults? Like, I would love to know. I would really like to know the answer to why it has to be that way. It doesn't make sense to me that it has to be that way. It's just weird. It's just weird. Like, growing up in a world where we used to be like, in the 80s and in the 90s, we used to like hang out with each other and like form groups and go chill. Like, I used to have male and female friends when I was a kid, and we used to like actually have conversations with each other, and we used to actually interact, and we used to sit down at tables and actually have conversations with each other. Like, it used to happen. And then every year, for some reason, we drift apart, and I don't understand what happens that causes the drift. But it makes sense because we're not raising boys and girls to move into the same direction. We're convincing girls that they're right and boys are wrong, and we're convincing boys that they're wrong and girls are right. And so it's creating this dynamic where men have to compromise who they are to entertain a person that has never been given a foundation for who she is. And in that space, there's nothing happening. It's not. It's just a bunch of reactions. It's react, 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 react. If a guy is actually using logic and is actually saying something that makes sense and is legitimately right in this situation, because society says that the girl is always right, he has to move away from, hey, welcome to the stream. He has to move away from the reality of what he's doing is correct, and to, hey, welcome to the stream. He has to move into the reality of what he knows is right, into her lying and manipulation, right? Like, but what is the long-term goal? Like, what is the long-term goal? If you're trying to build an actual, the reason why I'm saying it the way I'm saying it is because I wanted to have a female sitting next to me that could answer that question, but they don't want to be functional adults. So I all I could do is rant to myself. Like, that's all I could do. But it doesn't make any sense. It's not a hard thing to realize, right? Like, if your goal in life is to, I believe the human condition, whatever spirituality, religion, whatever you want, I believe inherently the goal for life has been defined by nature. And if you look out in nature, everything is doing what? Trying not to get eaten, trying to eat, and trying to reproduce. And the lower life forms don't have any care or concern about the quality of their offspring's lives. But for some reason, the higher life forms do, right? So if we consider ourselves as humans, as higher life forms, then we should be mostly concerned and most invested in the quality of our offspring's lives. And I understand that there's going to be some friction between families where I want my children to do better than your children. But I think that humans figured out a way to create society so that my children and your children can operate in a mutually neutral environment for their own success. And if your children are able to be stronger than my children, then that should be okay. And if my children happen to be stronger than your children, then that should be okay. I think that's what it's supposed to be, society, right? And what we're seeing is a deviation from that because of just the fact that the human condition is able to just create unnecessary chaos, unnecessary bullshit. Like it's just weird energy. But I really believe that, like, there just comes a point in our lives as young men and young women where we will always want to find the relationship that boys have with boys and the relationship that girls have with girls. There comes a point in our lives where we want to have that level of intimacy that we have with our friends with someone of the opposite sex, and we call that person a husband or a wife. And I think that's literally the goal. Like, that's what we're moving toward. And for whatever reason, the society is structured in such a way to make that not possible. And I don't understand why. Like, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. It seems like the most natural thing in this world is the interaction between men and women. And I know that there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of anxiety and there's a lot of uncertainty in that, but I think that's just what it is. And these micro stories of these micro conditions that happen and occur shouldn't paralyze everybody to just not move at all. Like, why are we just not moving at all? Why are we just standing still? And now we have all of this like social media where it's just amplifying the disconnect. There's being profit made off of the disconnect, because it's weird that no one is making any money off of building relationships on the internet. It's when you think about the fact that they have decided, because it's a decision that was made, they have decided that we should invest in the algorithm so and such that it increases chaos instead of decreasing chaos. We should invest in the algorithm so that it increases the amount of connectivity and mutual interactions and common understanding instead of decreasing it. We want people to be divided. We want people to reject. We want people to argue. We want people to fight. We're gonna invest money into perpetuating that. And the fact that there's more money invested in that than there is in human social services should tell everybody what's really happening. But for some reason, I seem to be like the only one that's acknowledging and aware of it. So I've got to get to work. This has been my rant. Not very much African American discussion this time, because I could spend a lot of time arguing. If I could spend a lot of time arguing and framing the racial dynamic between the African American man and woman, but the truth is that the social dynamic in general is broken, and it needs to not be broken. I'm gonna end this video with this very simple scientific understanding. Don't make decisions for yourself based on what someone else has said. People in your life are not going to behave exactly like what the internet is saying. And you don't really know how someone thinks or what someone feels, but that doesn't always mean that they're evil and that they're bad and that they're going to hurt you and that the world's going to fall apart. If you're rude to somebody and they respond to your rudeness in kind, that is a functional person. If you're sitting on the couch watching TV, not being rude, not being disrespectful, not being argumentative, and you happen to be female, and the guy that you're in a relationship with is disrespecting you and arguing with you and picking fights with you and instigating conflict with you, if you're not a bitch, that's the warning sign right there. Like, that's your warning sign that you need to like not be in a relationship with that person, right? But if men do the same fucking thing, we just have to keep being single. We have to just keep ghosting women and not talking to them, because society has convinced women that being rude, being sarcastic, being argumentative, all of that negative energy that comes with being childish and playful, there's a way to be childish and playful without actually being disrespectful and hurtful. And until females manage that and find that line, we're never going to have a stable society. We're never going to have a stable relationship. We're just not. I've never been in a situation where I don't encounter women that are rude and disrespectful. Like the vast majority of women are rude and disrespectful. The vast majority of them. And the ones that tend to not be rude and disrespectful typically don't have enough courage to actually engage in social interaction. So what are we going to do? As always, my name is Paul Emerson. I've given you my 2 cents.